Hey, Mid-Cities. I wanted to give you a brief update about how we're planning to respond to COVID-19 as a church. Based on the president's recommendation Monday afternoon, we will not be meeting for at least the next 2 Sundays together. And I want to share briefly how we came to that conclusion because I know there's a lot of different opinions about how the church should respond. So here's how we came to the decision ourselves. First of all, is it okay for a church not to meet? Like, are we allowed to do that? And the reason that I think it's important to ask that question is because more than anything, we want to be a church that honors God, that obeys God. And in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24, it says, "And let us watch out for one another to provoke love and good works, not neglecting to gather together, as some are in the habit of doing." So Hebrews chapter 10, there's this clear command that Christians should attend a church. They should gather with the church, that the church should meet together, and that it's a sin not to. So are we sinning then by canceling church? And I think that the answer to that question is no, and here's why. Because Hebrews 10 says that, but here's what Romans 13 verse 1 says. "Let everyone submit to the governing authorities, since there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are instituted by God." So in Hebrews chapter 10, it's saying that the church should gather, and in Romans 13, it's saying that the church should submit to the government. And the government right now in our country is asking us not to meet. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to meet, or are we supposed to obey the government and not meet? And that's an important question. We've obviously decided not to meet. So are we acting in fear? Are we caving in to the world and to what the government is trying to do by infiltrating the church and compromising our faith? Are we becoming compromisers? Isn't this a time when the church should be bold and stand up for the gospel and stand up for truth and say, we don't care if you tell us not to meet, we're going to band together and we're going to meet anyway? Why is this not a time when the church should do that? Why have we chosen not to meet? Here are just a few reasons. First of all, the government is asking all gatherings not to meet. So they're not singling out the church where, because of what the church believes or because of what the church preaches, you're not allowed to meet. They're not doing that. They're asking everybody not to meet. That's the first reason. Second, they are doing this for public health. They are asking this for the good of everybody. And so it's actually a way of loving our neighbor not to meet. And then third, the decision not to meet is temporary. It's not permanent. It's not like because of the coronavirus, we're just never going to meet again. We're just closing up the doors forever. That's not the situation. Instead, for just a short time, the government is recommending that we not meet so that we can do our best to promote health. And again, they're doing that for everyone. So I don't believe that we're caving into fear or to fake news by choosing not to meet. In fact, I think that we're actually being wise, we're being good citizens, and we're loving our neighbor by making this decision. That leads to a second question. What will we do as a church in the meantime? Will we be streaming our services? And the short answer to that is no, we will not be streaming our service online. If you want to watch a full service online, I think that's an excellent thing. I'll probably do some of that over the next couple weeks. And there are already a lot of great churches that are doing great live streams in St. Louis. So we don't feel the need to copy them or duplicate that. It's already here. So if you want to watch some of those, here are some recommendations. The Journey Church, August Gate Church, The Crossing. These are all great churches that have great streaming services. And we're not the only gospel preaching church in St. Louis. Praise God for that. And we are not in competition with other churches. And so this is not a time where we're worried about losing people to other churches. Instead, I feel like this is a time where we could be blessed by the ministry of some other churches in our city. So no, we will not be streaming our services. There's also another reason for that decision, though. For one, We are not a super high-tech church. And that's probably not a surprise for any of you to hear me say that. And so I'm not totally confident that we could stream our entire service like we would typically have on a Sunday and it be a good experience for anybody to watch that. And so we're just, for the time being, not at a place technologically where I think that it would be a great experience, especially this coming Sunday. In the future, that might change. But another bigger reason for not streaming our service is this. And I don't mean to make this overly spiritual, but personally, I do question if it's actually helpful long term for us to pretend that watching a video online is the same as attending church. Does that mean that it's wrong to stream services? Absolutely not. I think that a lot of churches do that, and it's a very helpful ministry that they do that. I'm grateful that they do. What I mean is, in this time where the reason that we're not able to meet is because of this crazy time in our country, I don't know if it's actually a helpful substitute for in our minds for us to think, because we can't attend church in person, we're just going to attend church online. Because I don't know that that's a one-for-one thing. And here's why. You can't duplicate so many key integral pieces of church online, like the fellowship that you get just talking with people, the singing that you get when you're in a room with other believers and you're singing together, the Lord's Supper. You can't take that online. And corporate prayer. There's something about the presence of being with God's people in a room together that is powerful and meaningful that I think is lost if we pretend that watching something online is the same as gathering with the church. And so I just question if it's helpful long term for us to train ourselves to think, well, because I can't attend my church right now, just watching it online is a substitute. But again, does that mean that streaming a service is bad? No, don't think that. I just right now question if that would be the wisest thing for us. But again, I could eat those words. We could end up doing that down the road. But here's what we will be doing in the meantime. We will stream a short teaching that I will do for you to watch at home or with your family or however that works out best for you. So it'll just be a simple Bible study that I hope is helpful to you, and it's just a touch point for us as a church. But it will not be a sermon. It will not be a service. It will just be a helpful Bible study, I hope. The second thing that we'll do, that we're going to try to do, is give something for you that can be a conversation starter. If you are a family with young kids, this will be something that you can watch together. It will be very short, but it'll be a springboard for you to be able to talk about some spiritual things at home, and we hope that that's a useful tool for you. So that's what we will be doing. A couple other things I want to share with you here. First, if we can help you in any way during this crazy time in our country, please, please, please let us know. If you need somebody to shop for you, if you need financial assistance, whatever your need might be, please let us know. There will be a link in this email where you can respond and let us know if that's you. We would love to help you. We don't want anybody to be neglected or forgotten during this time, so please let us know. And then the last thing I want to share with you is, what can you do for our church in the meantime while we're not meeting? 3 quick things. First, you can pray for our church. Pray for each other, whether that's through some kind of prayer chain or just in your GC or small group. Pray for one another. Pray for our authorities, the president and governor and all the medical staff who are making decisions and trying to gather the best information. Pray for them to have wisdom. Pray for medical professionals who are treating the sick. Pray for men and women and children who have been infected. Pray for people who are afraid right now, that God would give them peace and courage. And pray that God would protect us and give us peace in the midst of all of this. So you can pray. Second thing you can do is you can give. Thank you so much for those of you who have already continued to give to our church, even though we're not able to meet. If you call Mid-Cities home and would like to continue giving during this time, we would very much appreciate that. And you can do that online on our website, midcitiesstl.com/give, and you can do that there. And then the third thing, so pray, give, and chat. And here's what I mean by that. Text people, call people, reach out to people. Make sure that people feel connected during this time. You can start with that in your GC. You can do that in your class. You can do that with a team that you serve on, but just make sure that people in our church feel connected during this time. And the best way to do that is just for you to reach out to them. This can still be an opportunity for us to love one another well. Last thing I want to share with you is when we come together again, it is going to be awesome. And I hope that this time apart creates a longing in our hearts to be together. In the same way that we are waiting now for Jesus to return to the earth and make all things right and make all things new, I hope that being away from God's people and being away from your people creates this burden and this longing in our hearts for us to be together as a church. And I hope that when we come back together, that we have a renewed sense of gratitude and a renewed joy at the privilege it is to be able to gather with God's people. I'll see you soon.